Each year in the United States, thousands of major crimes go unsolved. When the case has gone cold and police have nowhere to turn, they seek assistance from the public. This is a program dedicated to solving these cases. This is Crime Stoppers Case Files.
Welcome to Crime Stoppers Miami. I'm Dick Masten, the director of Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers. The purpose of this program is to share unsolved cases with as many South Florida viewers as possible, empowering you to do something about the violence on our streets. Every case we feature is unsolved. Every case we feature has a cash reward available. In other words, every case we feature is an opportunity for you to help your city and at the same time earn Crime Stoppers cash without even giving your name. Let's get started. At 4:27 in the morning of April the 2nd, 2010, Anthony Brown and a friend were walking home near Northwest 18th Avenue and 54th Street when they were ambushed by gunmen. Here's the story.
On April 2nd, 2010, at somewhere around 4:27 in the morning, Anthony Brown and his friend were walking home from a club when they were ambushed by unknown persons and gunned down. They were basically left for dead on the street, and since both victims were transported to the hospital, we hope that they'll both survive, but unfortunately Anthony Brown died as a result of his injuries. We came to learn that a couple hours before, they were at a local club called the Boulevard Cafe in the area of Northwest 25th Avenue and 36th Street. After talking to a few witnesses, we learned that they were there for a few hours, and sometime around 3:30, Anthony Brown's friend gets into a fight, bumps into somebody, they start shoving each other, a couple punches get thrown. So he gets kicked out, along with the other guys he's fighting with. Anthony Brown finds out somehow that his friend got kicked out, so he comes outside and he's pretty much ready to leave anyways. One of the security guards advised me that he spoke to them and told them the guys that also got kicked out are hanging around in their cars, that they may want to find a ride to get home. But they decided it was no big deal, they were just going to go ahead and walk. So they went down some side streets, made it towards 22nd Avenue, and headed north, trying to make their way towards 54th Street. At some point around 42nd, 43rd Street, as they're walking, they get shot at by some unknown vehicle. They ran behind the building, and the car kept on going. After speaking to Anthony Brown's friend, all he can tell us is that it happened so fast that they couldn't even give me a description. They didn't think too much of it. They didn't call anybody. They just kept on walking. When they made it to 54th Street, they passed by a small store, got some drinks. The manager at the store remembers seeing them, and they kept on going. And for whatever reason, they crossed the street to the north side of 54th Street. And as they're approaching the building on 18th Avenue, the building has a black gate that surrounds it. So you could see through it, but it was very dark. So unless you're paying attention, you might not see anything. So as our victims were walking on the sidewalk, getting to the edge of that gate, our offenders just jumped out and started shooting at them. Our victims just went down right there, bullet holes on the fence. So you could tell these guys were standing still close to the fence, shooting at our victims and hitting the fence as well as the victims. And I guess after the offenders figured they had fired enough or ran out of ammunition, they ran off, either running away from the area on foot or jumping into a vehicle. We just don't know. Both victims were shot multiple times. Anthony Brown had at least 5 shots in his upper torso. His friend had about 2 shots. So our victims remained there until a passerby finally came by, saw them lying on the street, and called for police and fire rescue. Both victims were taken to Ryder Trauma, but unfortunately Anthony Brown died as a result of being shot. And his friend was taken right into surgery, but he's still recovering as a result of being shot.
But by the time I got to the hospital, the lady, she said, we tried our best. And when they tell us that they tried their best, that's how I know that's the end. And the lady said, oh, we tried our best. We tried to do the best that we could, but he couldn't make it. I feel like if it was you in that situation and it hit home, you would feel the same way I feel. I don't wish no death upon no one. I don't want no one hurt. Only thing I want is justice. I'd rather see that person sit in jail for the rest of their life knowing that they took my child's life and ain't no telling how many more kids they done killed behind that.
Right now, we have no witnesses that saw the event. Everybody in the area was sleeping. We know that 2 guns were involved, a 9mm and a .45 caliber. That would lead us to believe that 2 people may be involved, but we don't know if they're male, female, old or young, just that most likely 2 people are involved. Many months have gone by, I have not gotten one Crime Stoppers tip, and the family needs answers, and we need to take these criminals off the street. We're hoping anybody with information will call us, but any information will probably help us since we have very little.
I just pray that somebody have a heart to call and tell them something. It would mean the world to me, and it would close a little piece of my heart. I feel like no parent should have to deal with that. I'm outliving my kids. My son only 25 years old and lost his life. I'm 41 years old. My mama and them still living. Both of my grandparents still living. They outliving us.
Police have little to go on in the case of Anthony Brown. Do you hold the key to solving it? When we return, you'll learn about the August 2010 murder of Octavio Avila on Crime Stoppers Miami.
In 1975, the first Crime Stoppers organization was formed by a detective who believed media attention helped solve cases. Since then, thousands of Crime Stoppers organizations have been formed around the globe with the same mission, encouraging members of the public to stand up against crime. Every 14 minutes, Crime Stoppers help solve a crime somewhere in the world. Get involved.
On Tuesday, August 17, 2010, Octavio Avila was outside his home at 45th Avenue in Miami Gardens. A confrontation ensued, leading to a car chase that left him dead. Here's the story.
My name is Amy Avila. I am the youngest sister of Octavio Avila. Me and Octavio were born in New Jersey. And we don't know much about New Jersey because we came to Florida when we were little. My brother was, he was a cool guy. He was a good big brother. He always took care of me when I was little. I really didn't get away with much with him. You know, if I showed up at a party and he showed up, it was time to go. That was the kind of brother he was. He never argued with me. He never treated me bad.
My dad had 4 girls. We spent every weekend, every chance my dad got to come see us, he came. He never went a day without calling us. He always called us to see how we were doing. He's always calling to see if we brushed our teeth, if we took a bath, the same just fatherly-like qualities. He just contained it all. He just cared that much. When I was growing up, my dad took me and my sisters to Bayside, and he said that we're gonna watch something beautiful, and we did. We watched all the ships, the cruise ships go by, and they were absolutely beautiful with their lights, and I always told him, I said, I wanna go on one of those one day, and he said if he ever got the money, he would take me. He was the kind of person that if you needed something and he had it, he would give it to you. That's how he was. That's how I was raised to be, just like him. You can't be selfish. He was never selfish. Nothing ever fazed him. Nothing was evil in him.
He was a good guy. Just one of those good guys, you know, that he would have given you anything. He had a lot of friends. A lot of people loved him. A lot of people do love him still.
Bay County Police and Fire, what is the
Yeah,
address?
listen, I hear 2 loud shot in front of my house, and the car just stopped there by himself.
There's a car there.
Yeah, with the lights on, the car is running, but the car's not moving.
Do you have any description of the vehicle that sped away?
No.
Okay, they're on their way, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
On Tuesday, August 17, 2010, at 9 p.m., Miami Gardens Police Department officials responded to 17050 Northwest 40th Avenue in Miami Gardens, reference a shots fired call. Mr. Octavio Avila was shot while inside his vehicle attempting to flee from his offenders. Through this course of investigation, I learned that Mr. Avila was in a verbal dispute with several individuals in front of his house earlier that day, prior to this incident of us locating him.
After the confrontation, Octavio Avila decided to flee his home in order to protect his family. Our victim walked to his car, which was parked in the driveway of his home, and fled in an easterly direction. His killers entered their own vehicle and followed close behind.
As Mr. Avila turned right on 40th Avenue, the offenders followed him and at some point were able to pass his vehicle and cut him off on the roadway. Mr. Avila took countermeasures and attempted to flee by placing his vehicle in reverse. As Mr. Avila was placing his vehicle in reverse, the subject exited his vehicle and fired multiple rounds into Mr. Avila's vehicle, one which struck the front driver's side headlight and the other which entered through the passenger front windshield side.
Tragically, Octavio Avila took cover by leaning down into his car. Unfortunately, that put him right into the path of the bullet that ended his life.
Upon arrival, Miami Gardens Police Department officials found the victim shot multiple times in his head and chest area. Mr. Avila succumbed to his injuries at the scene and was pronounced dead by Miami-Dade Fire Rescue.
I was confused because I didn't really want to believe it, but when I actually got there and everyone's telling me what happened, I was devastated. I mean, there's no other emotion that you can feel knowing that your father is gone. You can't sense that it's gonna be okay at that moment because it wasn't. I never sensed that for a second it was gonna be okay, because it's still not okay.
We're broken. They didn't just take his life, they took ours. They took our life that we were supposed to share with him. It's gone.
We'll be back with more on the murder of Octavio Avila right after this. Welcome back to Crime Stoppers Miami. I'm Dick Masten. We now continue the case of Octavio Avila.
On August 17, 2010, at 9 p.m., Mr. Octavio Avila was shot while inside his vehicle attempting to flee from his offenders.
Octavia Avila grieves for her 41-year-old father, Octavio Avila Jr., seen here with two of his daughters. He was proud of all four of them. Avila lost his life just blocks away from his home. His car was riddled with bullets at Northwest 171st Street and 40th Avenue. Avila died at the scene.
I wouldn't wish it to nobody, you know, and I'm just sad, you know, I'm heartbroken because it's my uncle, man.
The grandfather, he just had his daughter just had a baby, you know what I'm saying, he had a little job, he was a good man.
I learned that Mr. Avila was in a verbal dispute with several individuals in front of his house earlier that day. Mr. Avila decided to flee his home to protect his family and fled in an easterly direction. The offenders followed him and were able to pass his vehicle and cut him off. These subjects confronted him, blocked him in, and fired multiple rounds at him. Mr. Avila was struck once, again in the head and in the chest area.
Avila's mother is completely devastated. She lost another son, tragically, 14 years ago. It's not known what prompted the shooting. Miami Gardens police have no suspects.
He has a grandbaby, he has one in the way that is never going to know him. He has his daughter right here, a senior in high school, her prom. He's never going to be a part of that.
Every girl, every daughter has a soft spot for their dad. Every girl needs a dad growing up. A mom can only tell you so much. She can't tell you what a guy thinks because she's not a guy. A dad is supposed to be there to do that.
This has left us in unimaginable grief. We can't conceive that my brother's gone.
It's not easy because people don't like to have confusion. They like to understand. They don't want to go around not knowing what happened. And just like every human being, I think I deserve to know what happened.
What was their motive? These are questions that we don't have answers to, and we need those answers. It's peace for the family, it's peace for my mom. You look at my mom's face and it's just, she's empty. And it's not just peace for us, it's peace for the people who did this, because they have to have some kind of compassion, they have to have some kind of heart. I don't think of them as monsters. I want them to say, we did this, let's, turn ourselves in so they can have peace themselves.
They have to have some kind of heart because my dad didn't hang around with heartless people. He wasn't like that.
Mr. Avila had multiple friends that he was in contact with that day, and if anybody knows anything, please contact Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers.
In each unsolved homicide we feature, you meet the survivors, the innocent loved ones whose lives were forever changed when the victim was torn away from them. You have a chance to bring some peace to the lives of these loved ones.
Crime Stoppers is an international organization dedicated to bringing resolution to unsolved crimes. Members of the public work with police to make the world a safer place. Since 1975, thousands of Crime Stoppers organizations worldwide have helped make over 1 million arrests. Crime Stoppers acts as your advocate, keeping you anonymous and ensuring that your information gets to the right law enforcement agency.
Welcome back to Crime Stoppers, South Florida Case Files. I'm Dick Masten. It's been proven that programs such as ours solve crimes after several airings of a case. With that in mind, we'd like to quickly review a few cases that we've featured on past episodes. August the 10th, 2007, South Florida was rocked by the news that 51-year-old Sergeant Chris Reyka was killed in the line of duty. Here's the story.
Yeah, on August 10th, 2007, at about 1:20 a.m., investigation revealed that Sergeant Reyka was on duty in patrol as the midnight sergeant in the area around South Pompano Beach, Florida. He had been out on patrol. Sergeant Reyka pulled into the Walgreens parking lot. Based on his computer in his patrol vehicle, we know he ran a vehicle that was unoccupied inside the parking lot. He then appears to have ran a vehicle with the Florida tag F168UJ, a vehicle tag that belonged on a truck from a business in Oakland Park. We believe at that point, Sergeant Reyka, seeing that that tag was on a white vehicle, not a truck, turned on his overhead lights to his marked patrol vehicle, began to exit his patrol vehicle to investigate why the tag was on that vehicle, when the driver of the white vehicle exited and opened fire on him, ultimately shooting and killing him. The Broward Sheriff's Office 911 Communications Center began to receive phone calls in reference to a shooting that occurred at the Walgreens in Pompano Beach, Florida. Upon deputies' arrivals, they found Sergeant Chris Reyka in the parking lot. He had been the victim of a shooting and had been shot multiple times. Witnesses at the Walgreens saw a white vehicle in the parking lot prior to the shooting and fleeing the parking lot after the shooting. The investigation revealed that the vehicle had been captured on a surveillance camera from the Isle casino video, which was just north of the Walgreens.
Immediately after the homicide of Sergeant Chris Reyka, the community stepped up to the plate. We had Broward Crime Stoppers, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, U.S. Marshals Service, as well as concerned citizens that stepped up to the plate and offered a reward of up to $267,000 for information leading to those responsible for the homicide of Sergeant Chris Reyka. So we need that tip. We need your information, not your name, only your information. We need you to give us a call at Crime Stoppers.
Crime Stoppers of Miami-Dade has one goal: to make the streets safer for law-abiding citizens by solving cases and capturing criminals. Now, I'm Dick Masten. Be sure to join us next week for another episode of Crime Stoppers Case Files.